Blood Gracht is a popular multiplayer map within the Killzone franchise, so popular that it appeared in 3 games, Killzone 2, Killzone 3, and Killzone Mercenary. However, there were major differences between them, and today I'm going to show you those differences. This is the 4th video in my Killzone map comparison series. By my calculations, I only have 3 more to go after this one. As always, the footage you see today is captured using physical copies of the games running on actual systems. For Mercenary, I'm using a PlayStation TV. What exactly is a Gracht anyway? Over here in America, it's not a common word, but from what I understand, it's basically a canal that runs through a city. In this case, it's somewhere around the city of Pyrrhus, the capital of the planet Helgen. While the Blood Gracht looks like it can hold a lot of water, very little water is flowing through it. Perhaps it got drained because of something to do with the war. Regardless, the waterways on this map are shaped like a T in all 3 versions, with multi-story buildings adjacent to it. We'll start with Killzone 2, standing inside the Helghast base camp. We're going to take a look at the view from there, which overlooks the main waterway. We can see all the way to the other end of the map. In Mercenary, it's pretty much the same, but things are more brighter. In Killzone 3, we see how massively different it is compared to the other 2. It's in the daylight, it's disheveled, and there's plants growing within it. Even though Killzone 3 came out before Mercenary, I'll be showing it as number 3 in the comparison order because it's so different from the other 2. If we look up toward the sky, we see a turbulent electrical storm, which is a common occurrence on this planet. In Mercenary, it's pretty much the same, only the power lines are thicker. Maybe they just wanted to make sure it showed up on the Vita, since it has a smaller screen by comparison. In Killzone 3, the sky is very bright. My instinct is to look away from all that glare. The power lines are gone, and there's creepy plants hanging above everything. We're still in the base, and we are going to turn around and face the other way. We see a doorway leading to a hallway, and that turns into a dead end. There's another doorway over here that leads to another dead end. This entire area is where the Helghast spawn into the game, and sometimes they spawn within these hallways. In Mercenary, both of those hallways have been sealed off with doors. There are no base camps in Mercenary. The respawning happens all over the map. In Killzone 3, there are base camps, but there's none on this map. You spawn the same way as you do in Mercenary. The hallways are still there in Killzone 3, but nature is starting to take over. That's what's been happening all over the Killzone 3 version of this map. Nature is reclaiming the canal after it was ravaged by war. The plants and bugs you see around the Killzone 3 map today are assets from the campaign mode. There's a part of it that takes place in the jungle. Some of these things are bioluminescent, and you will see them lighting up some of the darker portions of the map. Dropping down into the canal itself, we see the destroyed ammo crate on the left. In Mercenary, there's 2 doors directly ahead that were barely noticeable before, but now they are very bright. The bots don't want me giving a tour today, so they'll be hounding me the entire video. There's no ammo crate since those don't exist in Mercenary. In Killzone 3, there's a lot of damage to that wall, and one can imagine it might be the result of having hosted too many online battles. Note that the ammo crate is on the right this time, because why not? Although the canal looks drained, there is a trickle of water flowing through it in Killzone 2. It's a little hard to see though. You can see it more easily in Mercenary. In Killzone 3, there's a lot more water running through it, and the effect looks great for a game that's on the PS3. Now we're in the middle of the canal, staring toward the other base camp. From the same spot in Mercenary, we see once again the brighter lighting and the better use of shadows. In Killzone 3, it doesn't even look like the same map. Standing close to the same spot, but turned toward another side of the map, there's some drainage doors, and in Mercenary we see the Vanguard unit land. Those give you a temporary ability, and they are exclusive to Mercenary. And in Killzone 3, we can see what we now expect to see. And then if we turn the other way, we can walk down the corridor that makes up the smaller waterway. It seems completely dry. That same corridor now has lights installed for Mercenary, and there's some water gushing through.
Damn it, they secured a vanguard.
Debris and vegetation obstruct the corridor in Killzone 3, and it looks like the water is no longer flowing through. Back out in the main waterway, we'll walk underneath the footbridges that connect to the ISA base above. It's more or less identical in Mercenary, but in Killzone 3, there's now a makeshift ramp that leads up to those footbridges. One last thing I want to point out from the waterway is the presence of these barrels with hot coals in them to cook food with. Standing next to them doesn't cause damage in Killzone 2, but in Mercenary, someone has turned up the temperature, and when you get close to them, you take a lot of damage.
Sky Fury available.
From what I can see, there are no grills in Killzone 3, but there is a chair here if anyone needs it. Next, we'll head out of the canal and through this hallway. It's a lot more wet looking in Mercenary. In Killzone 3, the glow from the plants are lighting the way. Up above, we'll head into the ISA base camp. Through these doors is a series of small rooms. In Mercenary, the doors are sealed. They did the same thing in Tharsis Depot. They sealed all the doors to the former base camps. Despite the fact that Mercenary came out after Killzone 3, I believe when they created the Mercenary maps, they used the same code from Killzone 2 for the two crossover maps, Gracht and Tharsis Depot. And since they used that old code, I believe the old rooms that were in the base camps are still behind those doors. And everything I see confirms that. By using this drone, I can get a better look. And I do see the same walls from Killzone 2, and I see a staircase in there. But I have no way of getting in there to see the whole thing. Killzone 3 also seals off the base, and there's no chance I'm gonna get a glimpse of anything in there because it is just filled with stuff. There's another part of the base that's right here, and it has another entryway, and that leads to a small staircase. Once again, that entryway is sealed off in Mercenary, and it's also sealed off in Killzone 3. Now we're going to walk down to the end of this alley, and we'll see that it leads to a dead end. The same goes for Mercenary. But in Killzone 3, there is a brand new hallway, which leads to the inner portion of the map. The surprises don't end there though. These closed doors in Killzone 2 and in Killzone 3 are now open in Mercenary, and they lead to the third story. We'll head up to that third story, and once again we have an entrance to the base camp that leads to some small rooms. The door is sealed off in Mercenary, but it has some open windows, and I'm going to take the drone up there. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me fly through those windows, but I can get a good peek in there, and once again, I'm seeing portions of the old base camp from Killzone 2. In Killzone 3, the outer door is open, but the inner door off to the left is shut, but off to the right is a new stairway, and that takes you back down to the alley below. Also on the third floor is this balcony for snipers. We see once again how dramatic the difference is for Killzone 3. Here's what I call the killing room, because people like to toss grenades in here during the online play. The grenades come in from all the entryways. In Mercenary, someone had the balls to turn the place into an office. In Killzone 3, the desk isn't there, but my bot team members have decided to have a meeting in here. Below the killing room is this stairway which leads up to it, and that stairway has been redesigned for Killzone 3. It may be to accommodate some of the drones that are used in that game. Exiting the killing room and stopping halfway across the bridge, we can get some good views. Looking to this side, we can peer through the smoke and barely make out some buildings that are just outside the map. In Mercenary, those buildings are much bigger and we can see more detail. In Killzone 3, all we see is devastation. Looking the other way, things look identical between Killzone 2 and Mercenary. And we get quite a spectacular shot in Killzone 3. On the other side of that bridge are some steps that go down. And once again, they've been reconfigured for Killzone 3. And when I head across this lower bridge and jump into the window, we see another set of stairs, and those have been reconfigured for Killzone 3. And they even stuffed an ammo crate in there. From the top of those steps, we see once again the Killzone 3 programmers have reconfigured the area. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. Like I mentioned, I've done other ones before. Colonel Radec would very much appreciate it if you watch some of those too. See the links in the description. Goodbye, everybody.